Hello everyone, welcome to Big Data Thoughts. Today's topic is data lakes. Now this is some topic which is very interesting and there are a lot of discussions around building data lakes in every industry, and most of the organizations have moved towards building data lakes in cloud. I have spoken on this topic in multiple forums but wanted to build a very quick video which will talk about the fundamentals of what a data lake is, what a data lake is not, because there are a lot of misconceptions as well around data lake. The entire progression or journey from RDBMS to data warehouse to data lakes, how have we progressed and why did we come up with these kind of concepts like data lake. Then the benefits of data lake, building data lakes on cloud, some of the architectural principles and use cases. So let's get started. Now what is a data lake? A data lake, simply we should imagine a data lake to be a centralized repository of data which will help you to store data from multiple sources. There is no restriction on the format of data. So data can be structured, unstructured, semi-structured, any kind of data. And the data lakes are meant to scale. They are meant to grow with time, and the idea of building a data lake is to bring in data from multiple sources, store it in as is structure, like however we get the data in the same format, storing it into a centralized repository and then realizing multiple use cases on top of that. So that's a data lake, a single repository of data. Now what a data lake is not. Multiple times people confuse data lake to be a replacement of a data warehouse. That's not true. So data warehouse's purpose is different and a data lake's purpose is different. How it stores data, processes data is very different in both the cases. So we should look at data lakes moreover as being complementary to a data warehouse. Okay, and they should not be looked at as a replacement to data warehouse at all. Then the journey, the progression, how it progressed. So initially, like decades before, like sometime in the 80s or so, we had systems like RDBMSs, which were relational database management systems. They were ruling the entire world of data. And at that point of time, the use case was very different because we were dealing with all structured data and SQL was sufficient to draw insights out of that data. But then there was a trigger or a turning point, we should say, which changed this whole paradigm. That turning point was coming of the internet. So when internet came in, it changed the entire picture because there was too much of data flowing from multiple places. There were defragmented silos of data, and these data silos had to be brought together to build some insights on top of that. So the whole paradigm of having one single system, structured data, SQL, all of that changed. Then we saw data warehouses coming in, which were acting like single source of data. They could integrate multiple data sources and give a 360-degree view. Okay, that's what data warehouses would do, and they could scale. We could do audit, governance, lineage, everything on top of a data warehouse because it was acting as a central store. But then even at that time, the data was primarily structured data. After data warehouses came the concept of big data, where we started about talking about different forms of data: structured, semi-structured, unstructured. The data warehouses were not able to store and process unstructured data efficiently. They were meant for structured kind of data. So when big data came in, there were use cases of handling petabytes of data, of having batch ingestion, streaming ingestion, these kind of varied scenarios. And it also spoke about a distributed architecture because now the data was so huge that we wanted to scale it horizontally by adding more nodes, having a distributed structure or a cluster, because vertical scaling, just scaling the CPU, the memory, the storage will not help because there is an upper ceiling to how much can we vertically scale. So we shifted from RDBMS's structured world to data warehouse to big data world. And then we had cloud coming in, which completely changed the whole scenario altogether, because now with cloud people had the flexibility, agility and cost effectiveness as well as ease of use. You didn't have to take care of infrastructure, then have multiple people setting up things for you, managing, maintaining them. We could simply use services on the cloud, whether it is infrastructure as service, platform as a service or software as a service. So this effectively made our life much more easier, and it gave us a lot of efficiency in terms of time to market, cost, simplicity, agility, all of that. So that's how we evolved from RDBMSs to big data to cloud. And then we talk about these kind of architectural patterns, whether it is data lake, data mesh or lake house. There are multiple such constructs that we talk about. One of them is this data lake concept. Now, what are the benefits of having a data lake on cloud? So first of all, a data lake is a single source of truth, because we can bring in data from multiple sources to one centralized location. It is schema on read, because we are not enforcing, like in RDBMS we had to enforce a schema when we were writing the data. It had to be in the form of column, row with referential integrity, primary key, etc. Right? The data was normalized. But in the big data world, in this distributed architecture setup, when we build data lakes, we are not enforcing any kind of schema on writing. You can write data in any format, but we enforce a schema only when we want to read that data or use it for certain use cases. So it's schema on write, which gives lot more flexibility than schema on read. This is a schema on read, which gives us lot more flexibility than imposing a schema while we are writing the data. Okay. Another very important thing is we have decoupled storage and compute, which means that earlier when we were talking about a machine, it came with certain amount of storage and compute, and they were tied together. So if I had to scale my cluster, I had to add in more machines. Essentially I had to increase both compute and storage. But with cloud, when we talk about scenarios where we are storing the data somewhere else in a file system and we are using some other services for processing, we have essentially decoupled the compute and storage. And it's extremely important, because I may not want to scale both of them together. I may just want to scale my storage, or I may want to scale my compute power. So that's a very important benefit that we got when we went to cloud kind of scenarios. There are varied data access patterns, because now we have brought in the entire data to a single storage, and depending on our use case we can define an access pattern. It is scalable, it is reliable, because all the cloud vendors, whether it is GCP, Azure or AWS, provide scalability, reliability as well as data security. Now data security will be a shared responsibility, of course. Some part of it would be taken care by the cloud vendor. Rest we also need to take care of how we want to secure our data in transit, as well as when the data is stationary in a data storage. It is low cost because it is pay as per use. You don't have to really pay upfront a huge amount predicting what will your load look like. What you can do is you can start small and then keep on scaling based on demand, and pay as per how you scale. Different processing capabilities, because there are so many services that cloud vendors provide. Based on our use case, we can use a particular service, so we can essentially have different processing capabilities. Flexibility, quicker time to market. There's a lot of flexibility in terms of how I ingest data and how I consume data, because there are so many services, right? The data can be stored in either a columnar format, it can be stored in row format, it can be stored in certain systems which help you in interactive querying, or it can be stored in graph databases. So totally depending on what is my use case, I can have different kind of storage solutions, I can have different kind of consumption and ingestion patterns. So overall, a data lake as a single repository built over cloud is a very good option to build a centralized storage and then realize multiple use cases as and when required. Now let us look at some of the architectural principles. So some of them we spoke about when we spoke about the benefits, but let's just look at them one more time. So one of the architectural principle is decoupling systems. As I said, we are decoupling the storage and the compute, which is very beneficial when we want to scale. Then event general design pattern, which means that everything we are doing, we are logging it in our system. Meaning if I brought in data today and I do certain operations, I have the previous version of the data, I have the latest version of the data. Something like a repository or a versioning system that we see, right? You do not lose anything. You can keep a trail of everything that is happening, and that is possible because your storage is extremely cheap, your cloud options provided are cheap. So you essentially follow a event general design pattern so that you can maintain the entire lineage, audit and history of what is happening to your data, rather than just storing the latest version of data or a subset of data. Then one of the principle is to be cost conscious. So of course, whenever we are planning, designing a system, we need to think about what is most cost optimized option for us, what services to use, when to scale, what kind of scaling, auto scaling rules to set so that we scale only when needed. So being cost conscious. Then using the right tool for the right job. There are multiple tools available, but we need to understand what tool needs to be used, because one tool cannot fit all use cases. So a very good profiling needs to be done based on the need. The right tool needs to be chosen, whether it is for ingestion, storage or processing. Then identifying hot, warm and cold data. This is important from the cost point of view as well as processing point of view. We don't want to have too much of data stored in a table or at a location and scan the entire data while we are processing, right? So we can segregate, saying what is cold data that can be archived, what is warm data which can be kept in a different storage, and what is actually relevant or hot data that I want to store in a file system or a table which I'm going to constantly access during my ETL or during reading the data. Then we can also look at patterns like leveraging the managed or serverless services. It will save us a lot of overhead in terms of building the clusters, bringing up the cluster, etc. So there are n number of services which each of the cloud vendors provide, and we can use those serverless services and save a lot of time and effort for us. Now coming on to the use cases. What are the use cases? There are a number of use cases that we can actually realize, but these are some of the most prominent ones that are used in the industry. Like building an analytical platform by building a data lake. You can do any kind of analytics, prescriptive, predictive, descriptive, any kind of analytics on the data that you brought into the data lake. Then second use case can be building dashboards, connecting to BI tools for reporting. This is the most common use case. We can build machine learning models because now we have data, raw data as well as processed data at one location. So we can have sandbox environments or a subset of data pulled in and given to data scientists to build their machine learning models. Another use case which is picking up a lot in the market is data monetization, which means building a data marketplace. Since we have brought in the entire data into a single repository, it is easy from many aspects, like easy in terms of managing it, securing it, auditing it, as well as exposing that the data as a service in a data marketplace. So in an organization, if we build a data lake and we can build a data marketplace, different groups can come and see what is the kind of data that is there, and it can be shared across different groups. So it's like data as a service. So these are some of the very prominent use cases which we are seeing in the industry. There can be many other use cases. There is no limit to what we can do with the data that we get in. But just a word of caution, when we say data lake can store any amount of data from any source, we should not turn a data lake into a data swamp. Meaning we should be very cautious and conscious of what data are we bringing in. It's always better to build the data lake incrementally. First bring the data, what is relevant, and then keep on adding to that, rather than just going and bringing in all the data that we have and put it into one place thinking that we will have some use cases in future, which will create a nightmare for management and overall maintenance of the data, as well as it will make our data lake more of a data swamp. So it has to be a very conscious effort to think what data needs to be brought in, what tools need to be used, what architectural patterns to keep in mind. So all of these things are very important for us to think about. Now that's all for today. I just wanted to give a brief introduction to what a data lake is conceptually, but in the subsequent videos I would go deep into each of the layer and talk about how to build a data lake, what are the things to keep in mind, the best practices. Those would be addressed in the later videos. I hope this helps you to at least understand the concept of data lake. Thank you so much.